Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Sorry for keeping you waiting. I had no idea this video with terrible audio mixing will do this well. Either way, we'll be discussing Portal 2 cut content. This is by far one of Valve's best. If you can find someone who doesn't like Portal 2, then I'd be genuinely surprised. Although it also had a very interesting development cycle. Albeit not as interesting as the first game, Portal 2 still has some pretty cool cut stuff from the retail build of the game. Although I should probably stop talking because my Portal viewers are probably going to kill me for making them wait this long for a sequel to this video. So let's start the video. Hey you, I have a question for you. Do you like Twitter? Do you like to be updated with stuff relating to my channel? Or are you just a basement dweller with no life? Well, either way, I have a Twitter now. I'll post updates and even just stupid memes, even if I'm not that funny. Anyway, it's in the description if you want to check it out. Although seriously, let's get into the video. Portal 2 started development in January 2008, and there were at least 5 different experiments being worked on during this time frame. One of which was called 2 bots 1 wrench. Yeah, hopefully the children don't get that reference. And one of these experiments was called FStop, which would become Portal 2 in its earliest form. This was before GLaDOS, Chell, and even before that Ball of Disappointment was considered. This game was originally going to be a prequel. No, FStop was going to replace the portal gun with this camera that probably has photos of Aperture's Christmas party on it. The camera would be able to change size of items based on its perspective, which would be the main gameplay mechanic of this stage of development. GLaDOS would have been replaced by Cave Johnson as the main antagonist, and honestly I like that. I mean, come on, how could you not like that sexy voice?
Hey, listen up down there. That thing's called an elevator, not a bathroom.
That's nice. There was a character called Betty. Cave Johnson looked pretty different from the final game, and there was a character called Mannequins? Wait, am I saying that right?
Mannequins.
Oh, thank God, I would have felt very stupid if I didn't say that correctly. You also play as a new protagonist called Mel, which was intended to take Chell's place in this game. The relaxation vault at the start of the game was vastly different from the final build in the game, and honestly, to me, looks a lot more fancy. And the test chambers in the game would look pretty different too. Lastly, there is going to be this thing called a giant chicken in the game. This was likely some sort of boss, and there is concept of it though on the cutting room floor and on the screen right now. And well, this was gonna be a really funny gag if it wasn't in the game. I mean, who would not laugh if this thing was running towards you at like 10 miles per hour? That would be funny. And that's all I feel like talking about for FStop. Remember, this was all off the cutting room floor. There's probably more if you're really interested in that stuff. But anyway, let's talk about the stuff after FStop. This stage of development started around early 2009. The goal for this iteration was to make something that's more like, well, Portal, because Portal without portals kind of sounds a little dumb. There were some interesting things to come out of this stage of development. For starters, there was this thing called the Core Hub, and no, not that. This was supposed to not have Chell in it, and it would have been a game revolving around rebuilding GLaDOS from the end of the first game. Other than that, not much is known about this iteration. But I do have a theory. I think that this iteration probably turned into what co-op would be in the final build of the game, since that had a more non-linear structure with a hub world-like idea to chamber progression. Although I haven't played much co-op because, well, I don't have friends unfortunately.
Why are we still here?
GLaDOS' core room looked more like the first game, although it was way darker and gave off a more, for lack of a better word, spookier theme. The protagonist Mel was still in this era of development, but eventually she was replaced with Chell and moved to the multiplayer mode, before getting scrapped altogether when the co-op bots took her place. And that's about it for post-FStop related stuff. There's more information about the things I mentioned along with some other stuff on the cutting room floor, so go check that out if you want. It's in the link in the description. Either way, let's look at the final game's leftovers on the cutting room floor. First up on the list is sounds for the cut gel type called Adhesion. Speaking about the Adhesion gel, this was going to be one of the new gel types that were introduced in this game. This would allow the player to stick onto a wall and walk on it, or I guess ceiling too in this case. This was reportedly cut for making the whole office at Valve motion sick. There's also an early emote icon for Atlas in the multiplayer mode. It looks pretty similar to the final game though. Next is the paint fizzler barrier. This would have been the exact same thing as the normal fizzler, just for the gel types that were added in this game. I assume this was cut due to it making no sense. Like, where would you put this in game? There are leftovers from TF2's control point icon that normally sits above the point in that game, as well as just a bunch of text relating to Half-Life 2 for some reason. There's some leftover furniture from what I think is the FStop era because that looks pretty similar to the furniture. An unused cube called I'm Not Pronouncing That is present in the game. It would have been apparently an output for a special type of cube called Reflector Cube. An unused elevator from the Portal 2 co-op demo at PAX 2010 is still present in the game's files. And there's also a bunch of leftover voice clips. I'll play a few though, because there's a lot of them. If you want to listen to them, go on the cutting room floor.
Federal Superfund regulations require us to inform you that you must now leave the theater, as measuring the effects of asbestos-lined promotional clothing is not part of today's presentation. Enjoy your free t-shirt. Goodbye.
I know, Jerry! No, I'm on a break, mate. On a break.
Oh, another door malfunction. I'm going to take care of this once and for all. Stay here. I'll be back in a while. Well done. You know, when I woke up and saw the state of the labs, I started to wonder if there was any point to going on. I came that close to just giving up and letting you go. 50,000 years is a lot of time to think. About me. About you. We were doing so well together.
A turret variant called the, hover turret was scrapped. However, it used a personality core from Portal 1 as its model. This would have hung from the ceiling and shot you down from there. And lastly, here's some pretty boring GUI icons. Only 2 of these I could tell what they might have been used for, because what the hell is that one with the cussed out word? And wow, you made it to the end of the video. I give you a virtual pat on the back for that, because I don't understand how anyone can watch my channel. But anyway, if you enjoy videos about games that run the Source engine, you should consider subscribing. I normally upload about once a month, and I will see you in the next one.
Bye-bye!
Throwing flashbang.